Have you ever wondered what happens when a single act of kindness changes not just one life, but two? Imagine a cold, rainy night in a small town. An exhausted man driving home after a long shift suddenly sees a young pregnant girl shivering alone at a bus stop. What would you do? This stranger's choice to help sets off a chain of events filled with hope, danger, and unexpected love. But beneath the surface lies a tangled past secrets, threatening to unravel the fragile new family they're building. Will courage and compassion be enough to overcome the shadows? Stay with us because the truth behind this story will surprise you and touch your heart in ways you never expected. Watch until the very end. You won't want to miss what happens next. Logan Harper was driving home on a stormy November night in Cedar Valley, Indiana. The rain pounded relentlessly on the windshield of his old pickup truck, blurring the streetlights into hazy orbs. After a grueling double shift at the construction site, all he wanted was to get back to his cozy home and his 8-year-old daughter, Ellie, who was spending the night at their kind neighbor, Mrs. Franklin's house. As he approached the bus stop on Oakwood Avenue, something caught his eye, something that made him slam on the brakes without hesitation. Under the meager shelter, shivering and drenched, stood a teenage girl. But she wasn't just any teenager. Her baby bump was unmistakable, swollen, and vulnerable beneath a thin, soaked jacket. The way she clutched herself, her wide, terrified eyes scanning the empty street, told Logan everything he needed to know. She was scared, alone, and utterly lost. Logan didn't think twice. He grabbed the spare jacket from his truck and sprinted through the rain toward her. "Hey, are you okay?" His voice was gentle but urgent. The girl looked up, her eyes glistening with tears mixed with rain. "I'm fine," she whispered, but the tremor in her voice betrayed her. "No, you're not," Logan insisted, holding out the jacket. "Here, take this." She hesitated, glancing at him suspiciously. I don't have money to pay you back." Logan shook his head. "I'm not asking for money. I just want to help." Her hand instinctively rested on her swollen belly. "When was the last time you ate?" Logan asked softly. "Yesterday morning?" Maybe, she replied faintly. Her vulnerability shattered something deep inside Logan's heart. "What's your name?" he asked. "Madison," she said quietly. "Madison, I'm Logan. I have a daughter around your age, well, a bit younger. You don't have to stay out here alone. Let me help." Madison's eyes searched his face for something: hope, safety, maybe a trace of kindness she hadn't seen in months. Logan's eyes reflected a warmth that reminded her of the father she lost. She hesitated, her instincts screaming caution, but the cold rain gnawed at her resolve. "Okay," she whispered. The truck's heater roared to life as Logan helped her inside. As they drove through the quiet streets of Cedar Valley, Logan glanced at Madison, her body shaking despite the warmth. "How far along are you?" "7 months. Maybe 8, she murmured. "I haven't been to a doctor. I don't have insurance." Logan's jaw clenched, not at Madison, but at the cruel world that had left her so exposed. "We'll figure that out. Tonight you get warm and fed." Pulling up to his modest 2-story house, Logan smiled reassuringly. "It's not much, but it's safe." Mrs. Franklin greeted them at the door, her eyes immediately filled with concern for Madison's condition. A woman in her 60s with the nurturing spirit that had helped Logan raise Ellie since his wife passed away 3 years ago. As Madison dried off and changed into Logan's worn clothes, Mrs. Franklin set about making warm food while Logan quietly briefed her on the situation. "She's just a kid," Mrs. Franklin whispered. "Where's her family?" Logan shook his head. "I don't know. She's scared to talk about it." When Madison emerged, she looked small and fragile in Logan's oversized sweatshirt. Mrs. Franklin slipped into mother mode immediately. "Sit down, honey. I'm going to fix you something to eat." "I don't want to be trouble," Madison said again. "No trouble at all." "You're eating for 2 now," Mrs. Franklin replied with a smile. Madison's eyes welled up with tears. "Why are you all being so kind? You don't even know me." Logan sat beside her. "When I was about your age, I was in foster care. Some families were good, others not so much. But I learned one thing sometimes: all it takes is one person who cares to change everything." Madison nodded slowly. "I'm not a charity case." "No, you're not," Logan said softly. "But everyone needs help, sometimes even me." The next morning, Madison awoke to the sound of Ellie's laughter. The little girl's presence was a stark contrast to the fear and loneliness Madison had carried. She followed the smell of pancakes and bacon downstairs, where Logan was cooking breakfast and Ellie sat chattering at the table. "Daddy, you said we could go to the park today if it stopped raining." Logan smiled at Ellie's enthusiasm. "We'll see how the weather is after breakfast." Ellie noticed Madison in the doorway and waved eagerly. "Hi, I'm Ellie. Are you my daddy's friend?" Madison smiled awkwardly. "I'm Madison. Yes, I'm your daddy's friend." Ellie beamed. "Do you want to come to the park with us?" Before Madison could answer, Logan gently intervened. "Ellie, why don't you let Madison eat first? She might be tired." As they ate, Madison watched the effortless bond between father and daughter. Logan made silly faces to make Ellie laugh, carefully cutting her pancakes into perfect squares just the way she liked. "Daddy, why does Madison look like she swallowed a basketball?" Ellie asked innocently. Logan nearly choked on his coffee. "That's not polite to ask," he said quickly. "It's okay," Madison said, laughing for the first time in weeks. "I have a baby in my belly." Ellie's eyes grew wide. "A real baby?" "When's it coming out?" Soon, Madison said softly. "Can I help take care of it? I'm really good with babies." Logan saw tears prickling Madison's eyes once again. "We'll see, sweetheart. Why don't you get ready for the park?" After Ellie dashed upstairs, Logan sat down with Madison. "You don't have to tell me anything you don't want to, but if you want to share, how did you end up on the streets?" Madison stared into her cup, her voice trembling. "My dad died in a car accident 8 months ago. We didn't have much money, and after the funeral, there was nothing left. My mom, she started drinking more. Then she met a man, Brandon. He didn't want me around. Said I was a reminder of my dad. When I told him I was pregnant, he got angry. Said I was a disgrace and kicked me out." Logan's fists clenched in silent fury, not at Madison, but at the cruelty she'd endured. "What about your mom?" he asked. "She chose him over me," Madison whispered. "And the baby's father, Jason," she said, her face hardening. "He was my boyfriend. When I told him I was pregnant, he said it wasn't his problem and told me to get rid of it. Then he spread lies about me at school." Logan reached across the table, gently squeezing her hand. "I'm sorry you had to go through that alone." Madison looked at him with gratitude she couldn't put into words. "I lived in my car for a while, but it broke down. I couldn't fix it. Shelters were full. Last night I had nowhere to go. Now you do," Logan said firmly, "for as long as you need." That morning, Logan took Madison to the Cedar Valley Family Health Clinic. Dr. Melissa Grant, a compassionate and experienced doctor, examined her with care. "You're about 32 weeks along. The baby looks healthy, but you're underweight and dehydrated. Have you been eating?" Madison shook her head, embarrassed. "We'll get you on a nutrition plan, and I'll prescribe prenatal vitamins," Dr. Grant assured. Afterward, Logan drove Madison to the grocery store. She'd never seen someone shop with so much care. "What do you like to eat?" he asked. "Anything," Madison replied. "No." "What do you really like?" She thought a moment. "My dad used to make spaghetti and meatballs and chocolate chip cookies." "That's dinner tonight," Logan said with a grin. The next few weeks pushed Madison and Logan into a whirlwind of change neither of them could have anticipated. Madison was no longer just a scared pregnant teenager lost in the shadows of Cedar Valley. She was a young woman fighting to reclaim control of her life, with Logan and Ellie by her side as an unexpected but steady support system. Logan's home transformed into a sanctuary. Walls echoed with laughter plans and whispered hopes. But beneath that calm surface, tensions simmered. Madison's past was a storm looming on the horizon, ready to crash into the fragile peace they'd built. At the clinic, Dr. Grant had warned Logan about the risks. Madison was severely malnourished, and her body was struggling under the weight of both her pregnancy and the trauma she'd endured. Logan's frustration grew each day, not at Madison, but at the world that had let her slip through the cracks. He found himself battling against a bureaucracy that seemed indifferent and a community that often turned a blind eye. One evening, after putting Ellie to bed, Logan sat with Madison in the dim glow of the kitchen light. The air was thick with unspoken fears. "We can't do this alone," he said quietly. "I've been looking into social services, legal aid, even support groups. You don't have to be scared anymore." Madison looked down her fingers, tracing the rim of a coffee cup. "I want to believe that, but every time I do something reminds me why I ended up on the street. Like Jason. He hasn't stopped sending those messages." Logan's jaw tightened. "I'm going to help you stop him." The next morning, Logan made calls to legal clinics, determined to get a restraining order for Madison. At the same time, he arranged for counseling services for Madison, but also for himself and Ellie. The wounds of losing his wife still ran deep, and suddenly the weight felt heavier. Meanwhile, Madison started opening up about her dreams that had been buried under layers of pain. She wanted to finish high school, maybe even college, to give her child a life she never had. Logan believed in her fiercely. "We'll get you back to school," he promised. "No matter what it takes." But then came a dark twist. One rainy afternoon, as Madison walked back from the clinic, a shadow fell over her path. Jason appeared, his face twisted with anger and desperation. "You think you can just leave me?" he hissed. "That baby's mine, and you're not keeping it from me." Madison's heart pounded. She wanted to run, but her swollen belly slowed her down. Just as Jason lunged forward, a figure stepped out from beside Logan. "Back off," Logan growled, standing protectively in front of Madison. Jason sneered but retreated, muttering threats as he disappeared into the storm. Madison trembled but felt a flicker of relief. For the first time, someone was fighting for her, not just words but action. Back at home, the danger shook them all. Ellie clung to her father, her wide eyes reflecting the fear in the room. Logan promised her safety, but he knew the road ahead would be long and fraught with challenges. In the days that followed, Logan and Madison met with a social worker named Clara, a tough but compassionate woman who helped them navigate the maze of protection orders, healthcare, and housing support. Clara's no-nonsense approach pushed Madison to confront her past and face the future with strength. One evening, while Madison and Logan sat on the porch, the cold wind biting at their skin, Madison confided in him. "I've been so scared of failing as a mother, as a person, but you make me believe I can do this." Logan took her hand, his voice steady. "You're stronger than you know, and you're not alone." The community slowly began to see Madison not as a tragic figure, but as a beacon of hope. Neighbors who once avoided the troubled girl now offered help, donations of baby clothes, meals, and encouragement. Ellie, with her boundless energy and kindness, became Madison's little sister in arms, their bond growing daily. School wasn't easy for Madison. Online classes and GED programs were her lifeline, but exhaustion and self-doubt crept in. One night, after a particularly difficult study session, she called Logan, tears streaming. "What if I'm not smart enough? What if I can't do this?" Logan's answer was simple but powerful. "You're already a warrior. Every day you fight for your baby, for your future, that's proof you're enough." As the due date approached, excitement mixed with anxiety. Madison's labor was intense and fast, with Logan and Mrs. Franklin by her side at the hospital. When Madison finally held her daughter, a perfect little girl with dark hair and fierce brown eyes, the room filled with tears of pain, relief, and overwhelming love. They named her Grace. Life settled into a new rhythm, sleepless nights, first smiles, and tiny hands wrapped around their fingers. Madison found joy in motherhood, bolstered by Logan's unwavering support. Ellie blossomed into the role of big sister, her infectious laughter filling the house. Months later, a letter arrived from Madison's mother, Linda. She wanted to reconnect, to apologize for the past and be part of Grace's life. Madison wrestled with old wounds but chose to open the door to forgiveness, not just for her mother, but for herself. Through it all, Logan's family grew not by blood, but by love and resilience. Madison returned to school, her confidence soaring as she tackled her studies with determination. She started volunteering at a shelter for young mothers, inspired to be the support she once desperately needed. One sunny afternoon, Madison, Logan, Ellie, and Grace walked through the town park, laughter ringing through the air. Logan glanced at Madison and whispered, "Look at what you've done. You saved all of us." Madison smiled, eyes shining. "No, Logan. You saved me. You showed me what family really means." Months passed, and the once fragile threads of Madison's life began to weave into a tapestry of hope, healing, and resilience. Grace, now a thriving infant with curious eyes and a gentle smile, was the living proof of Madison's strength. Each day brought new challenges, but with Logan and Ellie by her side, Madison felt the warmth of a family she had never dared to dream of before. The shadow of the past still lingered, but Madison faced it head-on with a courage that surprised even herself. She reconnected with her mother, Linda, slowly rebuilding the broken bridges. Their conversations were tentative, filled with apologies and tears, but each moment brought them closer to forgiveness and understanding. Madison realized that forgiveness wasn't about forgetting the pain, it was about freeing herself from it. Logan continued to be her rock, not just a protector, but a partner in every sense. Together they navigated parenthood, work, and healing. Logan took on more hours at the construction site, determined to provide stability for their growing family, while Madison dedicated herself to her studies, determined to finish what she had started and build a future for Grace that was full of possibility. Ellie, ever the joyful spirit, embraced her role as big sister with pride. Her laughter filled the house, and her innocent questions often reminded Madison and Logan of the simple joys amid life's complexities. Watching Ellie and Grace grow together was a constant source of happiness and reassurance. One crisp autumn day, as the leaves painted the town in shades of gold and crimson, Madison and Logan took Grace and Ellie to the community center where Madison volunteered. The walls were adorned with stories of resilience, photographs, and letters from other young mothers who had found strength through support and kindness. Madison shared her journey openly, her voice steady as she told her story. "I was once lost, scared, and alone," Madison said, looking around the room at the young women hanging on her every word. "But with help, hope, and the love of a family, I found my way. You are not alone, and your story is not over." As she spoke, a wave of emotion swept over her. The journey had been long and fraught with pain, but it had led her here to a place where she could inspire others to believe in themselves. She saw in their eyes the same flicker of hope she once held on to, and it filled her with a profound sense of purpose. After the talk, a young mother approached Madison, her hands trembling as she held her baby. "Thank you," she whispered. "Your story gives me the courage to keep going." Madison smiled, tears brimming. "We're all in this together, and sometimes all it takes is one person who believes in you." That evening, as the family sat around their modest dinner table, Logan looked across at Madison and said, "I'm proud of you, proud of everything you've overcome and everything you're building." Madison reached across and took his hand. "I couldn't have done this without you. You gave me more than just shelter. You gave me a family." Ellie giggled, reaching for Grace's tiny hand. "We're the best family ever," Grace cooed, her little eyes shining with innocence and trust. Life was not perfect, but it was real, filled with love, second chances, and the quiet strength of everyday miracles. Madison's journey was a testament to the power of kindness, courage, and the human spirit's ability to heal and grow. As the night settled in, Madison stood by the window, watching the stars twinkle above Cedar Valley. She whispered a promise to herself and to Grace that no matter what came next, they would face it together, with hope lighting their way. Thanks for watching. Sorry for the interruption, but we hope you will help us improve our content in the future. How did this story make you feel? What moments touched your heart the most? Do you believe in the power of kindness and second chances, like Madison and Logan did? Share your thoughts and feelings below. We want to hear from you. If this story inspired you, please comment 100 down below. Where are you watching from? Let us know your country. Don't forget to share this video with someone who needs a reminder that hope and love can change everything.